Alright guys, there we go. Let's reset the damage this time. Unfortunately, we forgot that part, but that happens. It's fine, they mostly hear like Francis right now. But guys, in the meantime, we're going to have, joining me this time, April.
Hi, I am here. I am here for commentary. ER put me on this round because the next round I'm going around and working out what everyone else is playing.
The Fennel Queen?
Yep. Unfortunately, this event didn't go too well. Had some very unlucky early rounds, but America, I'm coming for you, and I'm going to trick your treat.
Oh, trick and treat, no! But really exciting for us. At the moment, we got round 6. Next round, obviously, is round 7. It's going to be the last round of Swiss. But at the moment, we've got Michael Winley making his what seems like 5th appearance on stream versus Dorian, who is actually our reigning world champion. So it's going to be a really, really exciting matchup between like two of the best players in Europe at the moment.
We have the peak of Shojodoji, the person who was playing it before anyone else thought it was good.
Before it was cool.
Versus Michael Winley, who has been on this Nui deck with an absolute tear. We saw him a few weeks ago back in Vienna for the insane top 16 game that he won. And now he's still XO with this archetype. It's really working out well for him.
To be fair, the one thing that's been really fun at the moment is watching like... It's kind of funny because we were concerned last season. I remember us talking about it, going like a lot of players were like not repeat topping last season, but it's been really nice seeing people this season kind of appearing event after event and consistently ending up in the top tables on the same decks, which seems like it's you kind of see people perhaps getting a lot more comfortable with their decisions and like getting a lot more comfortable with the decision making and getting used to like what standard is now, and so you can start seeing that repeat performance coming out of them.
Plus, especially when you have decks like Doji that are so complex and one misplay can just lose you the game, the people that have spent the time on this archetype, like Dorian, they will consistently keep on showing. I think he got like 18th, he was one position away from making it in top cut in Vienna. It was really unlucky for him, and now he's putting himself in.
Sorry, we got head judge pulling faces at us.
The professionalism.
But the thing is, well, because we were talking about this earlier, because we had a player on, I think it was maybe round 1 or 2, who was playing Doji, and the interesting thing is you get to see decisions. Like for example, he played into Vaga, right? Round 1 actually, and for example, Vaga played kept using the Grey One, the disabled intercepts, and the thing is, you kept seeing him, for example, not putting his Tsukiodachis to soul on attack, even though he'd call nothing. Because you could see this player who basically would go, oh, but they'll pop my things anyway, and like I have a grade 1 that I can put them to soul and I'm fine. Not realizing, or you kind of get to see mistakes, like for example the fact that had he put them into soul, he dies almost no matter what. But in a case where he's 6 damage OTs, which is like his 1 out of that situation, he ends up kind of able to recoup things and have access to 5k more shield, which like is something obviously Doji can struggle with if it doesn't pop off on turn 3. So you get to see like players slowly improve and stop making these kinds of mistakes where like it seems insignificant and it affects almost no cases, no game states at all. But the ones where it does are the ones you have to play towards like your only way out.
Yeah, of course. Just turning back to the game, we see very good starts from both players.
Yeah.
Like the Tsukiyodachi and the Unprecedented Bind on Dorian's side into the draw 3 from Michael. I think we're going to see a very good game. Who do you think is going to come out favoured in this position?
So it's interesting because it's a deck that it's a matchup rather. People keep going back and forth, seeing which one's preferred in. Because on the one side you go, well, we saw it in the game between Dave and Uno like 2 rounds ago. You can see that Doji does have outs to a lot of Shiranui's dominates. But if a lot of Shiranui players can actually just hold off on their on-stride dominate, they can actually outplay their opponents quite a bit by, for example, using your, is it Bolvar, the grade 3 cycle dragon?
Yeah, Blue Orvis.
Well, sorry. My World of Warcraft brain. Because on place it pops, which means all of a sudden there are, because Doji will often play towards having 3 units on board. You can effectively negate that, and all it costs you is some of the restraint. So we were talking earlier about like matchup knowledge. It's that little restraint because in your brain you go, well, of course, 1 more attack per turn, of course I'm going to. But you might open a whole new avenue for the Doji player to outplay you in a way where that little bit of restraint does actually punish them immediately, and so you get to climb back.
We see here that Dorian's adding a card that's pretty unconventional in this Shojodoji archetype. He's added the Shenri to his hand.
Oh, he's running Shenri in this deck, is he?
Yeah, he's running a few copies of Shenri. I've seen it in a few lists. I'm actually kind of a fan of it because one of the things that Shojodoji does struggle into is aggro decks, and having more stabilization in the form of extra card draw early is really nice. I know also some people are running Forktail for the extra consistency, but it depends like what you're trying to play towards, I feel.
Yeah, especially there. Yeah, you can see Mike, for example, unfortunately for him, checking that damage this early on is like not ideal because like obviously Doji's always going to try and tri-lane you, but a lot of Stride decks do have the weakness of like Rush, and unfortunately Nui doesn't really scale with CB as well as some of the other Stride decks do.
Although the CB in Nui can be pretty useful, it's just you go, my Dominates are going to ask for 20k shield from hand, please give me 2 cards.
Actually, interesting. He didn't proc the Shenri.
I mean, Michael's very unlikely to leave out like 4 units, so that Shenri is going to proc because of the Shojodoji bind too. So you just get another 13k out. It's a really nice play by Dorian to just keep the value out of every card and squeeze everything you can out of it. It's the makings of a world champ right there.
Because we were talking to Ben about this, because yesterday when we were speaking to Hearth, obviously because being the Spikes god that he is, we were talking about the fact that like a lot of decks at the moment can he effectively argues that you can brute force any deck into being playable by virtue of just like pure like min-maxing and matchup knowledge. And this feels like one of those cases where like, yeah, there you go, he gets a heal, which unfortunately like still just comes down for him, but like the fact that he's able to, again, continuously pressure cards out of Michael's hand in times where normal players would have just gone for the draw 1. It's kind of, again, like you're saying, it's the difference between your average Doji player and somebody who can make it to Worlds and win.
Before they even got the hand rip one. That is spectacular achievement.
My face when discard.
No, not again.
Yeah, and just Dorian immediately going to start committing that board.
But now Michael's asking the question of Dorian, do you have more pieces? I'm going to swing at your rear guards. Your grade 2s, they're gone. Can you still build a good turn 3 off of this? Can Dorian? Let's see if he can respond.
Because yeah, Michael's decision is just like you said, going, look, you've overcommitted, and I'm gonna make you have those pieces.
It's a really nice way of trying to push the game late, where Shiranui is in the advantage position.
And the Ojigishi coming out in set 3, so we've got fairly new, but again, this is the first season it's been legal, allowing us to top 5 and put a card into Soul. But it doesn't get the 5k just yet.
Yeah. That's one of the best things about the card, that when your opponent is on a 13, it still hits. It's so strong. Well,
the thing is, because Doji's strength is in its pokes, right? So it's the fact that like, it doesn't overwhelm you with like 50k columns. It just pokes you like 15 or 20 like a lot of times. And I mean, tell me if you've heard me say this one before on stream, but 10k shields are so valuable in Standard for exactly this reason.
Yeah, when the Doji player goes, I will swing at you with 20.
And you go, that's an overguard. I think I think that's kind of stuff is why cards like Defensive Roar and decks like Doji with its Raiden Kunai are so potent, because when they go 20, you go 10, and you don't waste anything.
And Leonon as well, one of the decks that we see quite popular in this format, just because of the fact you can play like 6 to 8 10k shields in your deck.
Because we were saying earlier, we've been seeing a lot of population, very high population today of like grade 4 decks, but they're not stride decks, distinctly like grade 4 decks. Because again, they're getting access to all these extra 15ks, and a lot of the Superior Eye promos became 15k shields later on. So you're going to see decks starting to value tankiness in the face of decks like stride decks, Doji, all these, Olden even.
Yeah. It feels like the format has 2 ways to go. You can try to slow everything down with the grindy grade 4 decks, or you can go for higher aggro decks, which is what I've been doing. And it'll be interesting to see how things shape out in Top Cut, I think.
It's interesting because we see such different like deck populations show up between different regions that really starts kind of making you question. There you go, yeah, you got the Tsukidachi coming out. It really does begin to make you question sort of how different things are between regions.
Here we have world champ Nuno Raimundo trying to distract the commentary team.
Nuno trying to make his debut.
Hi.
And so he departs.
Goodbye.
But no, that's the thing, because like you're gonna end up in situations where like, yeah, you can see Michael trying to like do his absolute best to guard here, but like Dorian doesn't need to apply too much pressure. He just needs to slowly poke it out, because Michael's never gonna like not swing at him, right?
Plus Dorian here deciding not to go all in. He's just, I'm going to be measured, I'm going to put my Shojodoji back in, I'm going to get my Persona right back, I'm going to do 5 attacks. My Unprecedent's going to be a big column. He's going to still have trouble to guard this, and I don't overcommit my resources. He would be ending with like 1 damage face up or 2 damage face down, and that's a really nice position to be in as the Doji player going into a 7 attack Nui turn.
And the thing as well, that's like, we've not actually been discussing this much today, but it has really been the MVP of Doji this entire format. It's going to be the Kinran. You know, just the fact that it's able to shove a whole column into Soul and just add your Persona Rides back to hand.
Yeah.
It means, yeah, if you Soul Charge your Persona Ride early on, you're not guilty about it, because you're going to unprecedented it back out, then grab it back, so you're never out. It
definitely is a card that lets Doji play these sort of longer, grindier games, where you just go Persona Ride 4 attacks, Persona Ride 4 attacks, Persona Ride 4 attacks, and the opponent, they just can't handle it when you're going like 43, 43, 43 every time.
The thing is, again, like even the 15, like even once an Ojigishi procs and everything is 28, Ooh,
That defense OT on the last attack and after being pushed to 4 is really rough for Michael.
that is unfortunate. It's
And-
just such like a nothing heal. Like it could have been anything, right?
And another thing is, he's damaged ladder, which in this more grindy matchup, where Dorian's going to go, I'm going to just take away your restanders, do 5 attacks, I'm going to take away your restanders, do 5 attacks. The fact that Michael's restanders don't have a ton of protection is super rough for him, I feel.
Because yeah, this one it's interesting because like, if you're Michael, right, you have to start evaluating every single strike tile now step by step, because as we saw, like there's really weird lines that Doji can have and Nui can have to like try and play around each other, and so now you're gonna get to watch like 2 of the best players try and like play a game of chicken with each other, which I think is gonna be really really interesting to see. So I can't wait to see how that's gonna unfold.
God, it's just guiding the Shiranui to stride. Obviously, you'd prefer the Bleorvis, but not having access to the GB2 stride in this matchup, I don't feel is that important, just because Shojodoji can play around it.
But even then, like, because that's what we were saying just now, right? Like, you could, but then again, you're entering a game of chicken. Because now Dorian is forced into unoptimal swing turns just to try and maintain the board, and then it's either up to Michael to bait him, go run into it, or call the main phase, sacrifice a 15k shield, but
Yeah, that's true.
and then like Dorian just like did a suboptimal turn for what?
That is one of the main strengths of the Shojodoji deck there. Just the 20k shield of the right, the 10k shield of the right on Kunai, on the Shiranui procs. It's one of the helps make the matchup so favorable for Shojodoji in some aspect.
Yeah, we can see the Mukuro flip there. There we go. Yeah, because you can just see Dorian like going for such small. Dorian's not trying to make it big. He's not trying to do a big deal. And then Michael Willie's just going to start playing out. He's going to start grinding. Do you reckon he's going to start spamming his draw?
I mean,
Actually, I wonder, has Michael added it since his last event? I believe he hasn't.
no.
No, he hasn't. So yeah, no, because we were talking about it during the previous event, his top 8 matches. His only difference to his opponent was that Michael wasn't 2 Asperities, now up to 3. While his opponent ran 2 of the grade 1 the draws. And that ended up losing his opponent the game. The fact he didn't have the restand.
Although I think Michael, he can still... Is Michael on Shenri?
I believe he is not.
So then Michael just doesn't have any draw this time.
Nope,
Like,
not
if he
at
was
all.
on Shenri, this would be a perfect Shenri position right here, with the board completely open on Dorian's side. But it's interesting how he's not playing Shenri because it's a card that can be counterplayed pretty well. But in this position, in this matchup, his deckless decision is coming back to bite him here. And I hope he can see the piece he needs to, because that's like a 5-card hand?
Yeah, but I think you can never really underestimate the power of triple drive, right?
True. He can go to it. If he hits a heal, I think he's in a really stable position.
I think there's a good case to be made for Michael being okay, because again we've been seeing that's the heal
That
you
is
were
the
talking
heal.
about. Like
And he-
yes.
And he puts the ward on into the drop zone as well, so that heals a +2.
Second check and third check again. Asperidia setting up for next turn. And the interesting thing we're actually seeing is like a lot of Nui players. I think a lot of like newer or slightly worse Nui players kind of fall into the habit of going for the double restand every time, but you run it through your soul. Well, we see a lot of experienced players obviously opting against that and just trying to slowly just poke one at a time into their big push turns.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're just going to check drag Veda, and when that happens, you don't want to get super punished for it.
Plus, another thing that's really nice here is Michael knows that his board is dying, so he's decided, I'm just going to put 1 restander down, I'm going to be very conservative, and when he removes them, I'm going to have my restanders for next turn, and then I can go in. I really like that about his style of play here.
Yeah, very, very conservative. Because again, that's the thing with crest decks as well, is they scale so naturally that there is very rarely like a real reason to commit like 6 cards from mana. Why would you, right?
Yeah.
If your grade 2 is swinging for 35k, will the 43 like really make that big a difference when they're 13? Like, I mean, maybe, but oftentimes because of you're not bouncing, you'd rather just have the shield, honestly.
Plus, in the show of Michael win these skills, we can see that he's been thinking about how to take this game long from the beginning, with sort of swinging into Dorian's rear guards, going, you need to have an answer, you can't full combo me this turn. Just everything is about getting to the moment where that crest is massive, and then Michael has his chance.
Because yeah, like Doji has the issue of, because it has so many like good pokes or like good like small shields, it sometimes has a hard time facing down several big swings. Especially in with Doji, because obviously he's going to be taking care of some of your rear guards, and once it starts swinging your rears, that's like when the real like knowledge check of Shiranui into Doji comes up.
Plus, this is a really nice play by Michael. He drove check that ward on, and then he puts it on the guidance of going, if you put it to drop zone, I can still use it. Just making sure that every single card in his hand gets used perfectly, and I love that about him.
I agree. Michael Morbius is so dreamy.
So true.
I will let him tuck me in at night.
Well, why didn't you stay with him then?
Because Maxime told me I was stronger than ever.
So now Dorian, he's going for the Isasao. Oh, is he? No, the Ojigishi. That makes sense. Just because you want that every turn for the plus 5k.
Yeah.
To get your own mini crest.
Michael's like, what? Mini crest? In
Plus-
my Vanguard.
This is the other thing is the ride line of Shojodoji being a +2 from Bind Zone that you can reuse. It allows this deck, and I think it's one of the things that's really good about Shiranui and Shojodoji together. It's that they're decks that can play really well on small hand size. Like Shiranui just needs the grade 3. Shojodoji can always call out the 2 Shojodojis and then put them to soul to do combos. Like these decks, if they have nothing at the start of their turn,
They actually don't have nothing. They
Yeah.
have something always.
and like you can't underestimate that in a format where shield is has to be really well spaced out, and if you just exact shield, you can still win.
It's why I think a big tell between like a good and bad Doji player is I think you'll find a lot of Doji players will call things behind the Vanguard, but because of your sequencing, they'll immediately remove it on the Vanguard swing, so you really don't get the value out of calling those cards at all.
Yeah.
In a way that like would have probably been utilized if you played a little more conservatively and maybe like bound them a bit later on in the turn. So this is your grade 1 that came out with these Sao, I always forget its name, and your Raiden Kunai. Like
Your
all these,
Kakachika.
yeah, like all these cards are like put themselves to solo bind themselves, but like because people get too greedy, they burn them immediately, and I think then you lose out so much pressure on your Vanguard swings that like people just got it or like got it easily.
Yeah, but that's one of the decisions that a Shojodoji player has to make, because sometimes it's correct to sort of put the Kakachika or the Raidon Kunai to bind early,
Yeah.
but other times it's correct to sort of have a Sukiyodachi come out like from a Kinran, but that Sukiyodachi now can't get power from drive checks, which means you like make your Vanguard bigger, so you play around PGs a bit worse, but you have some attacks that are better into like smaller shields. It's a decision that has to be made by reading the opponent's hand. I think that's where we're going to see Dorian excel.
Ooh,
with
the
his
double
knowledge.
Tsukiyodachi coming out on Dorian's side. That's an unfortunate twin drive in fairness.
Although this is still a 33k column, I don't think Dorian's in a rough position right now.
Yeah, all the while you got the Unprecedented there sitting on what, 30, 43? Is it so is it going to be
It's 38.
38?
'Cause he's
38.
put
Oh,
to
10k off
soul,
itself, right.
yeah.
Oh yeah, because of course the two Tsukiyodachis, there was
Michael's-
no trigger.
Michael now going to 5, but he does hit the trigger. This should make the turn guardable, and then we can see how he responds to Dorian on the next turn.
Because Dorian's hand is not humongous. It's nothing to scoff at, but it's not
Yeah.
huge.
And then the other thing is Dorian, out of the 3 cards that he could have sent to drop, he kept that wall on there going, no, I'm not letting you have it, to bounce back, maybe draw another card off of a Blue Orbis. Please just, it's going to go back to your hand, you can guard with it next turn, but I don't want you to take use out of it. He knows what his opponent's trying to do, and he's counterplaying that, and I think that is an excellent skill.
But there, it's the kind of stuff that only comes really with long-standing knowledge of the game. Like you got to have that matchup knowledge, and you got to know the players you're into. Because even beyond just deck choice, like there is so much in like how a player expresses their playstyle by playing a deck. Like there's going to be people like Dave who will just combo off on you sometimes, and like you gotta. Once you get to these levels, there's going to be more of like a psychological, like interpersonal level for players where you know that person specifically and what they're about.
Yeah.
And I think that's super valuable.
I definitely feel it while playing at the top tables. It's like, I will make plays that are sort of misplays because I know my opponent.
Is the person who would do these things or would
Yeah.
fall for this, for example, or like is more likely to see this a certain way. It comes to bluffing, and bluffing is just one of my favorite part of card games.
Now we're getting to plus 20 on our crest, plus 15 on our crest power. So we're now equaling a Shojodoji Persona right time.
Me when I gain 20k by birth, right?
Yeah, they deserve it.
This feels like, when you have siblings and they're like, oh, well, actually, I'm just like older, and so they just get to like make up the rules for the game. That's crest
Yeah.
decks.
Michael's committing the Esper here, but he's only got like 2 cards left in hand. I wonder if he's got the second restander. He doesn't. That's rough. He's gonna have to try to 3 to 6 this time.
Just, do you not have the Esperidia, or do you discard that for something?
No, he discarded the Esperidia for stride, then he used the
Of
Ward
course,
on
sure.
that he healed out to
Got
add
it
it
back
back.
to hand. So shouldn't you still have an Esperidia?
The Esperidia is the card that you can see out of the glare.
Sure. And here I thought I fixed the glare. Drats! Time to turn all the light in this
There we
room
go,
off.
28. Asking Dorian, do you have 2 cards?
BCS Portugal top card will be played in the darkness. Anything for my glare to disappear.
That's another defensive. And Soul Blast out, restands. Does Dorian have the PG for this check?
No.
He doesn't.
That's 58.
58, 2 to pass.
First check. Second check.
Ooh, Michael's got a big decision here.
Has Michael got that dog in him?
I mean, I feel I wouldn't go for it because Dorian, like you would count PGs obviously because your only lose con here is PG in hand.
But Dorian's on 4, right?
Oh, true. Maybe it's like APG. And then the one issue though is your Wardorn column is still guardable by a 15, so you've got to make the read on whether he has that PG or not.
But I'm a hype beast, so I want Mama to not raise no bitch.
Always Ulvan. You will never get punished.
Don't forget, kids. 99% of gamblers stop just before they hit it big.
Oh, he's going through. This is potentially the most important drive check of
99% of gamblers.
What's he thinking? He's thinking so hard right now. I would not want to be in Michael's shoes. I think.
Don't forget, kids. You're gonna hit big next time. Never stop.
I think the way Dorian's presenting it is. If I was Michael, I would go for it. Yeah, he's going for it.
My goat! My goat!
Come on.
No! No, not one of the 99%.
For those, since we don't have player cams, Dorian just did this. He was sweating.
They don't see you either. This is what they see.
Lamau. Okay, Dorian had to wipe the sweat off his brow. That was a stressful drive check for both players.
Dorian saw his world championship flash before his eyes.
The top deck Persona Ride as well. Did he just... I think that was a really heads-up play by Dorian. He chose to not add Persona Ride back last time. Instead going, this 5k shield from the Aegis out might save me. I should play towards that. Because you could... If Michael's on 5, you don't really need the Persona Ride. You can just combo him off.
You just poke him, right?
Yeah. And getting back that Ogijishi, it allowed him to survive more and still have pressure, and I think that was like the play that you're only going to see from the best of Shojodoji players.
No, for sure. What do you think he does? Do you reckon he would have been... How come he didn't take any more damage at all? Because Michael didn't give him any more, right? Or did Michael swing? Because there were no Rias to swing at.
I'm actually not sure.
Because Michael didn't swing Rias, he just passed.
Yeah.
But you'd think that Dorian would have taken one more damage if he's going to like full combo, right?
I mean, I think Dorian 100% would, and that's why Michael doesn't want to do it. Because
Well, what did Michael swing at? Because he had 2 standing rear guards.
Because those rear guards, if he gives the damage, that probably lets Dorian Tsukiyodachi plus...
Oh no, I should more ask, what did he swing at? Because Zojigishi is still there.
The Unprecedented on board?
I guess, but that's 2 swings, right? So did Dorian like guard them or something?
Who knows?
Maybe.
So wrapped up in the drive checks that we forgot to look at the rest of the turn.
Wait, Vanguard has turns besides drive checks?
True, I love my favorite drive check simulator. I worked out what happened.
Oh, what happened?
Dorian defensive AT'd at the end.
Oh.
That's why the drag fade is there.
Smile.
And then Michael concedes. He just doesn't have it.
Yeah, Michael just does not have the turn.
Yeah, as we can see, Dorian, he had that PG.
Yeah.
He had... okay.
Oh,
he
yeah.
had a lot of PGs. That's why...
Oh, Homeboy was just not dying. That, that happens. It is what it is.
That is the world champ difference right there.
Oh, I'm going to have to actually change it. You are no longer Ben.
Watch out, chat. Ben is transitioning in front of your eyes.
There we are. And that's the thing, though, because like these kind of matches can be like super interesting to look at. But like, yeah, like Michael, there just once you see the OT, it's gone. Like there's...
One thing I've got to ask though is like we saw how Michael got pushed up to 5 damage, like 4-5 damage on his grade 3 turn. Do you think there's an argument that Shiranui players should start going first if they think the opponent's on Doji, just for the 13k base and the twin drive?
The trouble is, I don't know, because how would you know that, right? I mean, I suppose if you know the player, right?
Well, I mean, what else would Dorian be playing? He's like the Shojodoji goat.
That's true. I mean, yeah, but then they say that about you and Zolga until you show up with like Fennel and you're like, hee hee.
They said that about me and Zolga until I went to therapy.
What 2 months in therapy does to a motherfucker. You know what? I don't need to be the fated one of Taboo anymore.
Yeah. I can now be the fated one of Trick and Treat.
I don't want to alchemy magic anymore. I just want to be happy.
Like, I don't know, you can play 2 orders with Zolga return. Fennel, 3. That's why it's a better deck. Don't look at my Swiss run today.
Your happiness in life is directly tied to the number of orders you get to play per turn. Don't let anybody tell you no.
Agreed. And
But-
that's why I play infinite combos in Bermuda Triangle.
That's the thing. I think for your question, like, maybe? Because the thing is, right, like, how much are you really suffering by going first as Nui? Like, okay, you give up first stride, but if Doji is... The thing is, Doji is an aggro deck, but it also, like, loses to aggro super hard.
Yeah.
But, like, you still can... You can maybe opt to run more Shenries, more of the draw cards, but, like... I think if you go first, you have no real need for, like, Esperidias anymore, so you have to play... You have 3 slots to play with.
Yeah, because I know in top 16 back in Vienna, Dave sent me going... Dave sent me second, even though he was on a stride deck set, just because of my going first is so powerful. Because one of the other things that's really toxic about Shojodoji is that...
The 10-3 is gross.
Yeah, and it's the 10-3 is all of these 15s, and those 15s are now like 5k guards instead of 10k guards if you're sitting on a 13k base. That's something I think Shiranui players probably should think about. I've not tested this matchup. I'm solely committed to Fennel this format.
Yeah, and with 10k like being so hard to get, it's basically 15s. You're basically making them overguard 10 for each one,
yeah.
or go super high and hope they draw, which then hope they heal and then feel super bad if they don't, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But I was gonna say, that's the thing, because like with stuff like this, like I'm just curious to see what we're gonna actually see next round, because that'll be last round of Swiss already. It's kind of crazy because we've been on for what 4 hours already.
Well, that is.
We've been it's 2 o'clock. We've been here since been here since like 8.
Yeah.
Started like 10:30, and like already got through 6 rounds Swiss, which like I just remember the dark ages before we had Bushinavi, where like
I remember not being able to finish my first BCS because it got too dark and my dad wanted to go home at like 6 p.m. and we were in round 6 of Swiss. Nowadays, Swiss finishes at 2. It's beautiful.
different. I still remember when we had like Springfest London in 2022, where like we finished at like 11:30 p.m. One of the events of all time.
Yeah, that was the event where like some people couldn't play on top because they had to fly home.
Yeah, that's what gave me 4th place. Because we were meant to queue into some of the French players. I think it was Starhole Crusaders.
Oh yeah, that was a Romain card fight from last round's team, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they were like, "Yeah, we got to go home. Our train is at like 8:30," and then we were like, "Oh, so we're top 4 then?" And then we came 3rd.
Easy. That's how you get 3rd at a VSF, children. Just have your opponents go home.
But guys, I want to say a quick thank you to April for hopping on. Maybe during Top Cut as well. We'll see.
Maybe during Top Cut.
We'll see.
I've got data work to do though.
Sure.
Which
We'll
is
see
my
how we
main
go.
job. I'll try to come in.
Always more events at the end of the day. But guys, we'll see you guys very, very soon for round 7, the last round of Swiss. And we'll... Oh,
Camera back?
my face when I smack the table and the camera dies. But guys, I will see you very, very soon. Stay safe. I'll see you guys in just a few minutes with round 7 going live. We'll see you in just a bit. Thanks again for April, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.